Hello everybody, we're baking today. And what are we baking? As I mentioned in my welcome to the new channel video, May 19th would have been my mother's 99th birthday. She has been gone for several years, and I just wanted to make this cake as a little bit of a tribute to her. And also, the day you see this video, May 12th, is my youngest child, my one and only son's 25th birthday. And this is a little bit of a tribute to him as well, because this is his favorite cake. And he's always saying, can you make one of Grandma's cakes? And this is what he's talking about. This is what he means. So we're going to go right to it, and we're going to go ahead and make this. This is a chocolate mayonnaise cake. My mom really didn't use the mayonnaise part until later on when my grandmother Cora introduced that to her. So we're going to do the later version with the mayonnaise today, and we're going to get right to it. So in my bowl, I'm going to sift together 2 cups of flour. And I like to sift my ingredients because I don't want any lumps in my cake. And you know, that's just me. And I just sift it with a little sieve. I don't have a sifter or anything like that. Never felt the need for one because this works just fine. And you can either just wiggle it or you can tap it down, either or. Eventually it all gets in there. So we're going to do that. And this cake, we're going to top it with the traditional chocolate buttercream. My mother used that, but sometimes she would use the addition of peanut butter, and she would just make like a vanilla type buttercream and add the peanut butter and have a peanut butter icing. And I wouldn't complain about that. But because this is a little bit of a tribute to my son as well, we're going to leave it with the chocolate. He's not a peanut butter icing fan. So we're going to leave that alone a little bit. So to this I have the 2 cups of flour, 1 2/3 cups of sugar I sifted in, 2/3 of a cup of Hershey or whatever brand you want of baking cocoa powder, a teaspoon and a half each of baking soda, and baking powder. And I'm sieving this all together, like I said, because I don't want any lumps. And I'm going to show you when I'm done what I'm talking about. This here, I don't know if you can see them. These are the lumps. We don't want those in our icing or in our cake mix. And honestly, it's going to you're going to have to work quite a bit to get those lumps out of your batter, and then you're kind of overworking the batter. And I need a whisk. You think by now I'd be prepared, right? So I'm going to whisk this together. I'll show you what it looks like. And contrary to what everyone thinks about homemade cakes, you know, oh my God, they're so hard to do, but they're not. This is going to be a dump and go type cake. Okay, so that's done, and now we're going to start adding our wet ingredients, and we're going to go ahead and just use our regular electric beater for that. Let me go over here and get a different spatula. I want that for one thing. Let me get a spatula for my mayonnaise. Also, I'm grabbing my pan. So I've got a 9 by 13 pan. I have my spatula. And off we go. We're going to add 3 eggs. I'm going to go ahead and beat these eggs up a little bit. It's just 3 large eggs. I'm going to beat these up. We've taken all of the dry ingredients, we've put it in, we've taken a whisk, we whisked it around after we sieved it in, or sifted it in, whatever you prefer. We're going to make a little bit of a well in there. We're going to add our eggs. 3 eggs beaten. I used large. If you only have medium, use 4 medium. I'm going to put in a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm going to put in a 1.5 cups of water. Hot, cold, warm, lukewarm, room temperature. It don't matter. I seem to remember my mom only saying she had to have boiling water in this. But honestly, it's not something that I've ever done. So I'm going to go ahead and start mixing this before I add my mayo. It's going to get loud. Going to go ahead and scrape the bowl, get everything in here properly. Keep mixing. One more scrape down before we add in our mayo. Turning up the speed a little bit. Okay, now here's where we are. We're going to add in our mayonnaise. This is 1 cup of whatever mayonnaise you use. Don't use Miracle Whip. I used Hellmann's. You can use a store brand. Just use something that says real mayonnaise. You know, don't get something. I honestly don't think I'd use any of the canola brands or avocado mayo or something like that. You want the fat because this is your fat. Usually you'd add oil, right? Or shortening or butter, but this is your fat for this. So you don't want to skimp on this. We're going to mix this in. Turn my speed up a little bit. I'm going to scrape it down once while we're adding in the mayo. And you'll see the sifting really helps. It doesn't, you don't end up with any kind of, you're not ending up with any kind of lumps in here. Okay, so you could get out your KitchenAid and anything like that for this, but why bother? It's such an easy recipe. You could do it by hand, but you got to have some great muscles for that. And I mean, this is perfect. This does a good job. So like I said, we have the 9 by 13. I think that's the one I grabbed. Yes. And we're going to use that. Let's grab some Pam spray. I believe years ago, it was the big thing to butter and flour or use lard or shortening and flour. But honestly, I mean, if you need to do that with your particular pans, certainly do it. But I don't find that I have to do that with the glass pans. Usually it's just one little, one little spray is all we need and we're good to go. But if you want to butter or shortening and flour that pan, that's entirely up to you. This is going to give us this size cake. You could also make cupcakes. You can make this would actually make probably a 3-layer cake with an 8-inch round. Bundt pan, sky's the limit, whatever you want, tube pan, whatever you feel you need to do for whatever occasion you're making this for. So in it goes. Scraping all the goodies out of my bowl. And you see how nice and smooth this is, right? That's what we're looking for. Oops. So that's what we're going to look for. And that's it. This is going to go into a 350-degree oven. This is what it looks like before it's going in. It is going to bake about 35 minutes. It could be a little longer, it could be a little less. It depends on your oven. So, use that toothpick method or a skewer or whatever you happen to have handy. And what you're going to do with that is when you think it's done, reach in there or pull it out a little bit and poke the middle with that skewer or that toothpick and see if it comes out clean. If it comes out clean, you're good to go. If it still has some stuff sticking to it, give it a couple more minutes. But start checking it if there's just a little stuck to it. If there's a lot, you got a ways to go. So I'm thinking 35 minutes or so, and then I'll check this when it's done and it comes out. We will, while it's cooling, we'll go ahead and do our icing. We're going to do a chocolate buttercream today. And we're going to top this, and don't think we're not going to taste it, because we are. Okay, so our cake is finished. Here is the result. And it is basically cool enough to ice. So I'm going to set it aside for now. And we're going to start on this buttercream icing. In this bowl, I have 1 stick of butter. To this, I'm going to sift in, and I'm going to sift it again because we don't want any lumps. We don't want any lumps in our icing. So I'm going to sift in, how much do I have here? 2/3 of a cup of powdered cocoa, Hershey or whatever brand you want. We're going to go ahead and sift that in. Keep our lumps out. This cake smelled amazing, amazing while it was baking. Whatever lumps off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and put this in a little at a time. You may not need all 2 cups of, or this is 3 cups of confectionery sugar or powdered sugar. I may not need it all. So I'm going to start out with half of this and see where we end up. And I'm going to sift that in as well. And like I said, if you have a regular sifter, use it. This is just something that I've always done. It's not, I don't really go for all the gadgets and things like that. This works perfectly fine. Gets my lumps out, and I don't have to worry about I don't have to worry about anything being lumpy in my icing. Sometimes you might have to help it through a little bit with a spoon. But for the most part, it's going to go through pretty good. And it takes a minute. It's not going to happen in a, in a heartbeat. Just take your time and get it in there. So 3 cups of powdered sugar, and like I said, we're just going to start with half. We may not need it all. Well, you'll know when you see it. Oh, does it look like icing? Does it look like what I want it to be? Does it not? If it does, you leave it. If it doesn't, you keep putting some in. And this takes a minute, but it's worth it so you don't have that lumpy, nastiness going on. I'm making more of a mess than anything, honestly. And that's the fun of baking, right? I'm not a baker, that I can tell you. This is about the only thing I make from scratch anymore. I used to years ago, but I mean, I don't really bake that much because, like I said, nobody's really home. Nobody really eats a lot of sweet things. So I don't really bake a lot of things. But honestly, if we want a piece of cake or we want a piece of cheesecake or something, we just go to the local diner. But there's our lumps we're taking out. We don't want those in there. And let me wipe off my bowl a little bit. Okay. This is a 1/3 of a cup of milk I'm putting in. I'm going to put it all in. And we may need more milk, so have some in reserve next to you. And a teaspoon of vanilla. That's it. Here comes the fun part. It's either going to work well for me or I'm going to wear this. So here we go. It's going to get loud. Stop and scrape my bowl. Get it in there a little bit. And I think I can tell by just looking at this, we're probably going to need a little bit more milk. You'll know when you see it. You'll know when you start mixing it. You'll be able to tell. Scrape some more. Gonna add just a hair more milk because I want to put a little more sugar in. I'm going to put a little bit more milk, and then I'm going to make it a little thicker when I add more sugar in. This might be good. This might be good. We might not need a thing. Let's take a look. I mean, icing is trial and error. this is chocolate buttercream, so you have to take that into account, but you want it to be more like an icing. You don't want it to be like a decorator's icing, like where you're going to make flowers or borders or something, because then it's going to be really, really thick and heavy and stiff. That's not what we're looking for on a regular cake. We're just looking for a nice icing. And honestly, let me get this cleaned up. I think this is a great consistency. I'll show you. I think that's a beautiful consistency. It's nice and stiff. It's not too crazy. It's not too loose. It's not too thick. I can flop it if I want to. This is perfect. And I'm going to taste it. Yes, I am. Yes, it's good. The only thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this sweetness down just a hair by adding a little bit of salt. So I'm just going to take my regular salt shaker. I'm going to put maybe about 1/8 of a teaspoon. That's it. I'm going to sprinkle that in, and I'm just going to whip it in with my spoon. What that'll do is it'll still keep that nice flavor, consistency, and the sweet, but it's going to cut the sweet a little bit, so it's not like, whoa. Because once you get on top of the cake, you're going to have cake on icing on top of cake. You don't want it overly crazy sweet, right? So we're not looking for that. Let's see. Yes. So now you've got the creaminess, the nice buttery creaminess, the chocolatey, and not quite so sweet going on. So let's ice this cake. Here it is, like I said. I am going to use all this icing on here, just to let you know. So we ended up using about half of the 3 cups of powdered sugar. So 1.5 cups. So to get this, we did 1.5 cups of the powdered sugar. We did 2/3 of a cup of cocoa, 1/3 of a cup of milk, and then probably another tablespoon or so afterward, a teaspoon of vanilla, and that was it, and a pinch of salt, like just a little pinch. If you choose to do that. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to, but I like to take that the sweet down a little bit. Okay, and I am going to ice this with a regular old run-of-the-mill knife. I flopped it in the middle. We're going to push it out from the middle to the sides, in case, you haven't frosted a cake before or iced a cake. Some people have not. And you don't need to make your own icing. You can use canned, but if you've gone to the trouble to make a homemade cake, why do you want to use a canned icing? It's not going to have the same taste, and it's not going to do your nice homemade cake justice, So go that extra little bit of a mile and make the icing. You can fancy this up all you want. You can make little designs with a fork, a knife, a spoon. I mean, some people make all kinds of designs. I just smooth it over with a knife, and it's done. Let me get this mess out of the way. Let me clean my surface up a little bit, and let's taste this cake. Okay. So here is the finished product. Looks really good, right? Smell-o-vision. Smells oh so chocolatey. I wish you could smell it. Certainly does smell good. Let me get a plate. tasting fork. And let's go. So this should feed, depending on the size of that you cut it, this should feed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20 people, maybe a little bit more, maybe 24, depending on the slice and we're talking about. I'll show you the size I'm talking. And I'll take the end piece because my family hates the corner pieces. I really don't mind. So I am talking about this size of a piece. So what's that, like 3 by 3 maybe? So this is the inside of the cake. I took the corner piece, like I said. You have the icing. This is what it looks like inside when you cut it. Hopefully you can see that. And let's give it a taste test. Smells amazing. Yes. This is moist, chocolatey, but not too crazy chocolatey. Sweet, but not too sweet. The icing is a great complement. The icing is very velvety and smooth. Great combination again. You can just kind of, I'm not sure if you can see it, but you can see the crumb is nice. It's nice and moist. I mean, that's a good indicator when you can just go like this. So overall, I'm happy with that. So, let me know in the comments below. Are you going to try this cake? Do you make this cake? If you do, could I have done something different? I made it the traditional way my mother and my grandmother made it, how I've made it for my entire life. And this is foolproof. It's foolproof. It never fails me. So if you've made this and done something a little different, let us know in the comments. If you're going to try this, let me know. If you do try it, let me know. And tell me what you think. Tell me what you thought about this video. And I appreciate you stopping in today, helping me create this tradition for my family, and to be able to use this as kind of a little bit of a tribute to my mother, and of course to my son. So yeah, that's all I got for you today. So happy birthday to my mom, 99 years, I'm sorry, on the 19th of May. She would have been, Della would have been 99. I can't even imagine 99. And my son Christopher, happy birthday to him. He turned 25 today. In fact, a little trivia tip for you. Chris was born on Mother's Day. You know what that means. He's one of the favorites. But anyway, nobody's supposed to know. So, thank you for joining me. Happy birthday to those two folks. And hopefully you will use this in one of your celebrations, and maybe this will become a tradition for you as well. Make sure that you are subscribing if you haven't already. Certainly consider that. Make sure you're sharing all content with neighbors, family, friends, coworkers, teammates, significant others, acquaintances, anyone you happen to know, your hairdresser, your barber. Make sure that you are hitting the like button, hit the notification bell, make sure you click all notifications, and every time I post something, you'll get notified through your YouTube, or through your email address that you signed up for your YouTube account with, whether you're subscribed or not. So make sure you hit the notification bell, and also leave me a comment. I love all comments. If you like this, great. If you didn't, great. Doesn't matter. Leave me a comment. I love all opinions, and I will answer every one of them. So thank you again, and I will see you on the next video. Bye, guys.